this thing that I have found is what I would call my gracious space. Hi everyone, Jack Carlisle here, Gracious Spaces, and once again we are high atop Old Town Orange, this amazing city I have my business in and I call home, and also have the pleasure of knowing so many wonderful people in my life. And I really want to take the time to thank you guys for tuning in to our episodes. I hope you're getting a little bit out of it. I sure am, but thank you for that. And today, man, I have to tell you, my guest today is just energy, and it's like infectious. The moment I saw this guy, I wanted to know more about him because I want what he has. Welcome this morning, Isaiah.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Let's go.
So I want to start out today because this is it's going to be a cool conversation. I'm excited for this. And I want us all to have open minds and be curious thinkers here.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about, you're in the fitness world. You're a trainer.
Yeah.
And not just any trainer, but an outstanding trainer. I've watched you. Yeah, you're the real deal.
Thank you, sir.
And,
appreciate that.
But there's something special about you as well. And I want us to be curious about that, and all of us open our minds and our hearts and think about what this gentleman's going to have to say and sort of bridge those two things. And what am I referring to?
You're talking about my faith.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very much.
Yeah, man. So, I think my faith is a big part of my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Definitely a big part of fitness. I think faith and fitness go hand in hand. There's a lot of things that you learn, in faith, I think, that go along with fitness, as far as like, delayed gratification, right? Or discipline, right? Or denying the things that you desire, right? In order to get something or to invest in a better version of yourself.
Achieve.
Exactly.
Goals.
And so, I would say my faith is a huge part. It's a huge part of my fitness journey. And it's a huge part of my development as a trainer as well. So
when did that come about? Can you recall sort of that aha moment?
As far as faith or fitness?
Well,
or like both.
When both of them, you kind of realized, this is.
Yeah, I got you. So I would say faith has always been a thing in my life since I was a kid. I think when I got into fitness, the faith aspect really kicked in once I started to realize that I was not as sufficient on my own as I wanted to be, right? So like, for example, like when I first started even getting into fitness, I was 250 pounds. I was like 5'7", super out of shape, super out of shape, super overweight.
What age was that?
I was 16.
16.
Yeah. And I dealt with a lot of like lack of confidence. I didn't like being in my own skin.
That's a tough one because I think
hard.
we all at 16, whether we're heavy, short, tall,
right?
I was a skinny little kid.
Right.
I never got picked for kickball or
exactly.
So that's a tough time being a kid. You've got all sorts of hormones going. You've got, influences around you.
And high school kids are ruthless, dude. Like, dude, some of the stuff that like we would say, or like kids, it's like, yo, like you definitely can't say that now.
Yeah. Oh, Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, man, like you have that.
Well, and for you, I'm not saying you need to tell me your age, but for me, we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
We had fitness magazines we could look at, or modeling magazines with clothing and stuff. But it's so in our faces these days what we think we should be, or what we're told we should be. Maybe.
Right.
It's tough.
It is. It is.
So you're 16.
Yeah. So I'm 16.
Thinking,
super out of shape, man. And like I've had faith. I've had faith my whole life. That's one thing my parents taught me at a really young age.
May I ask where you grew up?
What was that?
May I ask where you grew up?
I grew up in Orange County.
In Orange County?
Yeah, I'm from Irvine.
All right.
But my faith wasn't like really activated until I started going through that phase I was in when I was 16. And so when I say activated, like when I was raised, it's like one thing when you go to church, right? And like, it's like, oh, we do the practices, we do all that stuff, right? But like, you don't really have faith until you're in a situation where you really have to believe God for something, right? So like, it's really funny because like nowadays people will look at me and they're like, dude, you're in such great shape, or like, oh, you must get all this stuff, right? And I laugh because, dude, when I was 16, I used to like cry myself to sleep. And I would literally be like, man, like, God, I just want to be in shape for one day. You know, like
One
just let me wake up tomorrow with the 6-pack, and I promise, like I'll do everything right. I'll never do, whatever it is.
Yeah. That's how bad you wanted it.
That's how bad I wanted it, but like, and I would never share that with my friends. Like I'd always hide it, and like, they're making like little smart remarks like, hey fatty, da 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 da. And I just, laugh with them to fit in. But like deep down I'd be like, dude, this sucks. Like I'd go home and I'd be like, yo, this isn't cool. Like I don't like being this guy. Yeah. And so eventually I was like, look, dude, it's on you. Like something's got to change. I don't know how to work out. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I need to just start moving my body.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that. And then at the time I had a friend whose mom, she was like an ambassador for this brand called Arbonne.
Okay.
And so they had like this weight loss protein, and she was like, hey, do you want to try this for a month? Like, stick with the protein, and then you get like 2 meal replacements. Or it's like a meal replacement protein, and then you get like 1 meal a day.
The whole program attached to it.
Yeah. And she's like, just mix that in with your workouts. And I was like, you know what? Like, I have nothing to lose. So I was like, let's do it.
Yeah. So
I did it, and then that first week I lost like 12 pounds, 15 pounds.
Oh, you're on a
lot of it was
roll.
water weight, but yeah, I was like, yo, this works. Yeah. And like from then on, I just was like, okay, like you start learning discipline, right? So it's like that day one where I eat healthy, I'm not going to get results, right? But like down the road, I know I'm going to get it. Because after that first week, I was like day one, I ate good, had my meal replacement, look in the mirror, I look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right? But day 7, I look a little different. Yeah. Right? And so that's where you start to learn, and that's why it becomes addicting when you start to see progress.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, it's more so about, it's not the result, it's more so of what you get in the process. Right? So it's just understanding like delayed gratification. I'm not doing this right now to get this tomorrow. I'm doing this right now to get this down the road.
Yeah, there's no magic pill, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's no magic pill.
It takes more effort.
100%.
Yeah.
And you have to make those decisions over and over. Like that's why discipline is so hard. I was talking to one of my clients about this the other day, because discipline isn't something you do once, right? Like if you want to get into the best shape of your life, right? You don't just go to the gym once. Yeah. You have to consistently make that decision over and over and over. Tired, stressed. Doesn't matter the circumstances. You have to make that decision.
Get up.
Right? And so if you're always going based off how you feel, it's going to be really hard to be disciplined.
You talk yourself out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's normal. Yeah, it's also like that's human behavior, but that's where you have to be so invested and believe in what you want, and also just believing that you can do it. Yeah. Some of it too is like people don't try or people don't go for things because they just simply don't believe they can do it. Yeah. And that's the start. Like if you don't think you can do something, you've already lost.
Yourself up for failure immediately.
You've already quit, because it's like I believe faith is not just belief, it's an action word. Right? So if you believe that you're going to lose X amount of pounds by this time, then between now and that time, you're going to be doing what you have to do to lose that weight. You're not just going to be sitting there eating goals, whatever and thinking that it's just going to fall off. No, you're going to sleep better. Yeah. You're going to take your supplements, right? You're going to train properly, right? You're not going to be going out all the time. Like there's just things that you're going to have in place because you truly believe that this is going to happen. Yeah. Right? So.
I can just see you, and I'm not saying pointing out any particular client of yours or anything like that, but I can see a client being appreciative of your approach on how to tell them that. Yeah. Right? Because they need to hear it. Yeah. But you're not being a hard nose about it. You're just basically presenting the facts. Yeah. And then here it is. It's up to you to take those facts and roll with it.
And that's I'm actually glad you said that. That's a really good point. I think like in general, bro, like messages are good, but how we say things is even more important.
The delivery.
The delivery is everything. Yeah. Like even in training, dude, you could be the smartest trainer. You could have all the knowledge in the world. And this is like literally my experience. Like I wouldn't say I'm the smartest trainer. I wouldn't say I know the most, right? But I know how to talk to people. I know enough and I know how to talk to people. Yeah. Whereas I've seen people that are the most knowledgeable people in the world, but they don't know how to start a conversation or they just don't know how to, they're not approachable, right? So all that knowledge just sits here and it's not, you know what I mean? It's not for use. And so that's why I think that's a good point, man. Like delivery is everything. Like how you say things to people is everything, right? And that's also, that just goes with knowing your people. Yeah. Like you got to just know how do people respond. Like I coach at a high school, right? Yeah. Not every high school kid responds the same. Yeah. So some kids, you got to get on and be like, hey, dude, you're playing like shit, straight up. And like, that's how they respond really well. Like, dude, I needed that. But other kids, you got to be a little more gentle. Like, hey, man, what's going on? Is everything okay? Like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. We got to hit the drawing board. We got to fix X, Y, and Z. Let's do this. right? And so it's just knowing your people, man, like knowing your crowd.
Do you think your experience as a young kid, being a little overweight, kind of made fun of and stuff, is that kind of why you're in a coaching position with kids? What took you down the kid path?
I would say, man, so like kind of like we were talking before this, you know, like what I love about working with kids is that kids keep you honest. So like the thing is, like, kids, like, they don't know anything about bills or like struggling in some of the ways that we do. A lot of kids don't. Not saying all kids, but some kids do. But for the most part, like, kids look for things just like, hey, are you gonna show up when you say you're gonna show up, right? Do you love me the way you say you love me, right? Like, can you make me feel safe? And I think every human being has the ability to give that regardless of status, right? Doesn't matter how much money you make. Doesn't matter how famous you are. Like, they don't care about any of that stuff. They just want support, and they just want love, and they want safety, right? And I think every single human being, you could be a bum on the street, you have the ability to give that, right? It's in your human nature, and it's a choice. And so I'd like to just say, kids keep you honest, man. And they're fun. They're like entities, you know what I mean? They keep you young, like, they're loud. They always want to run around, and like that's how I am by nature. So it's like it's just fun. I'm a big kid.
Yeah, big kid.
I'm a big kid.
Yeah.
And then like you get to give back, and like I'm big on just giving people what I didn't get. And I think a lot of us are. You know, I think a lot of people are like, when we give things out, it's just things that we never got, right?
Well, I think we crave that too.
100%.
And we may not be to the point within ourselves to understand how to express that. Or be comfortable sharing that with somebody, but we do crave it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So when people such as yourself walk into your life, grab it.
Man, thank you, man.
You know, take it while you can.
I really appreciate you saying that. I'm like, it's funny because it's like, I think a lot of people are always like, dude, you're always so happy. You're always so this. And I think, man, like, I'm just like everybody else. I just want to be better. You know, and it's really not hard. Like, I think I guess I can't say it's not hard. It's different for everybody, but like, it's not hard to say hi to someone, you know, and like that goes a long way, dude. Like, people will always remember how you make them feel. Always.
That instantly drew me to you. I expressed a while ago. I appreciate the fact. You know, I walk into the gym, and it's like your house. And you're like, hey, buddy, glad to see you. You know, and not everyone does that. Even the other people there that are training. You know, hey, just good morning. You know. So is that a part? Would you say that's a part of your daily routine?
100%.
A part of setting yourself up for the day? Is giving people love?
Because dude, I believe like that's just who I am. I really believe like that's before anything else in this world. That's what we're called to do. We're called to love each other. Right. And it's easy. You know, it's really not like it's not hard to be like, hey, I hope you have a good day today. Because what do you lose? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the thing. Is sometimes we're afraid because of like rejection or like, you know, someone might not respond, but it's like, at the end of the day, you're not doing anything wrong. All you're doing is trying to enhance this person's life. Now, if they don't want that, that's okay. That's not a reflection of you, right? And it's like, okay, cool. You move on to the next person, right? But like, that should never change who you are. So you should never be like, well, this person didn't respond, so now I'm not going to say hi to anybody. You know, so for me, I just believe like, I've always been like that, dude. Just since a kid, I just like to talk to people. I like to make people feel good. I like to make people happy. Like, it's just nice. It makes me feel like I have a purpose. You know? Can
you tie that into either one of your parents or both your parents, or is that something
you're
just innate?
You know, so I think like, dude, it's weird because I think I didn't get a lot of that from my parents, and I think knowing how important that was, like for me as a child and like in my development,
you crave
it's like now I crave it, but it's also like now I know what people need. You know, so like my parents, they were great. Like I got everything I needed as far as like financially, you know, but like I think emotionally I didn't really have a father or a mother, you know, and so that's why I say like kids keep you honest, you know, because they don't know anything about bills or whatnot. Like for me, I cared more about having my mom there than having, you know, a PS4, right? Or like having my dad at a baseball game, you know, versus like getting the brand new, you know, the coolest shoes or whatever, you know? And so, I think like in that experience, like that's where you start to learn what really matters in life. You know, like if you just go back to your younger self, you will learn so much, man. Like that's literally what healing is like you're just trying to get back to this young kid and you're like, what did that little kid not have, right? A lot of the behaviors you see in adults, it starts from something that happened when they were a kid, you know? And so when you go back and you visit that little kid, you'll start to see like, oh, like this is what I needed and I didn't get this. And this is why I operate like this, you know?
Any siblings?
I have an older half brother.
Okay.
Yeah. He's about 5.5 years older than me.
Okay.
Pretty similar situation. We didn't grow up like super close either.
Yeah.
There was always like a lot of resentment, I think, from him towards me just because of like our parents. So we're half brothers. Yeah. So like my mom was with his dad first and then she got my dad. And then when I was born, it was like his dad would kind of like plant seeds in his head, like, that's not your real brother, da-da-da-da. So like we kind of grew, my brother grew up like, I always loved my brother, always. Sure. Like I'd never had, to me it's like, dude, even my friends, I'm like, dude, we're family. There is no like, oh, well, blood makes us, there's none of that. Like if I love you, I love you. It's just not different.
You know, it's funny you said that was part of Tony and I, my trainer this morning. Yeah. Tony and I were talking about that. Blood doesn't make you. Doesn't. You know, it doesn't. It goes deeper than that.
It doesn't family. Because you can also be blood related to people, and they treat you worse than some guy you just met on the street.
Nothing in common or
yeah. So it's like the blood can't just be the indicator of why I have to love you. Does that make sense?
No, totally. Yeah.
So yeah, like me and my brother kind of grew up. You know, he was a little, he didn't like me, but it wasn't because of him. I honestly feel like, you know, it's just the seeds that were planted in him. Because kids, like, when you're a kid, you listen to everything your parents say, right? Your parents are perfect. Nothing they do is wrong. Nothing they say is wrong. Up until you get older, and then you realize, oh my gosh.
Forming your own opinions.
Yeah, you're like, wait, that's actually not right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's how it was with me and my brother. But I've always loved my brother, and like now, even now to this day, like we're not close, but like I'm always there for him. You know. Yeah.
So then sort of back to a daily routine or ritual. Yeah. For me, I get up in the mornings and I tell myself what I'm thankful for.
There you go.
And then when I go to bed at night, I think what I'm grateful for.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's two good things I've learned that really help me throughout my day.
That's good.
And it gets it going and it puts a period on it really nicely for me.
That's really good.
So what is your go-to?
You know, it's different. I would say, like, I don't have like a daily routine. I would just say make sure you talk to God.
You just
practice it. That is the routine. Is like spend some point in your day, set time away for God, right? Whether it is just saying thank you or, you know, like, I'll be honest, I'm human, man. Like I have those moments where I'm like, dude, today sucks, right? But then you have to kind of bring it back and you're like, things could be a lot worse. Or look where you came from. Yeah. You know, and then you realize, oh wow, like I'm grateful, like I'm blessed, man.
Conversations throughout the whole day.
Right.
Kind of sounds like your deal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I would say, just for me, like setting time in the morning and in the evening away for God. Yeah. Depending on the day, it's like, hey Lord, I'm going through this. You know, I'm really struggling with this. I need help here. Or like I feel like this and I don't know why. Yeah. I would say a lot of the fruit in my life or a lot of the things that people see literally just comes from spending time with him. Yeah. And that's really what it is, man. Yeah. It's not even about like being perfect or like even saying the right thing. Sometimes when I pray, I don't know what to say. Yeah. You know, I'm like, I don't know what I need today. But I'm like, but I know you do.
Well, and do you really need to know? I don't know if that, you know.
Right.
So this may be too personal or not, and I'm okay if it is, but
no, I love personal. Let's get personal. I love it.
Has there been any really extremely difficult challenge where your faith pulled you out of that?
Yeah, dude, my whole life.
So, yeah,
my whole life.
Your whole life.
I'll be so honest. I'm so happy that I get to have a chance to share this.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Like growing up, I grew up with a lot of abandonment issues. So like at a really young age, or actually before I was even born. So my mom is Vietnamese. Okay. Vietnamese and Black culture back then was really taboo. Yeah. So when my mom got pregnant with me, her family gave her money to abort me. And she was gonna do it, and then like my dad would beg her all the time, like, "Don't abort him, please. Like, this is my son." Da 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 da.
Wow.
And so she was gonna do it, and then one of her friends, like, right at the last whatever, was just like, "Hey, you can't do this." And so she decided not to abort me, but then her family disowned her for that. And so that's why I tell people, like, God has really protected me since I was in my mother's womb. Like before I even came into this earth, like the Lord has always been protecting me, and He's had His hand on me. Yeah. And so growing up, my mom obviously had a resentment towards me because for her, it was like when she saw me, it was like, I lost my family. So you could be here. And it was hard. Like she was young, you know, so that's why I've learned to have grace with her.
What a difficult position to be in.
Right. Right.
You know?
Like when you're young, you're kind of just like, why did you do this? But when you get older, you realize like your parents are kids raising kids. Like she did what she thought was best, but it's okay for her to have those emotions too, because she lost something to have me, you know? So I grew up with her resenting me a lot. And so my brother was like,
did the family ever circle back around?
Now they have.
Oh, they have.
Now they have.
Okay.
Yeah. So like my brother, he was supposed to be like the golden child. He was just like got everything. Like I always kind of lived in the shadow. Like, I just kind of got lesser than. And like my dad ended up leaving actually not too long after, when I was about 5 years old. My parents divorced and then my dad left. So it made it really hard because I'm living with my mom who like really resents me, my brother who resents me, right? And then my dad's not there. And at the time when I was like first born, my dad was the only one that was really like, I love you. This is my son.
And then
and then he left. Yeah. So like I was just lonely a lot. And then there was a lot that I would always just kind of get the shit end of the stick, you know, like things happen. It's like, oh, well, it's Isaiah, or like, oh, it's Isaiah. Right. Or like, for example, like my brother started getting into drugs. Right. And so my mom sends me away and I have to go like stay with one of her friends for like 2 months. And then she takes my brother on a trip to Mexico. So I'm thinking like, dude, I'm like sleeping by myself, right? Crying myself to sleep every night thinking like I didn't do anything. And I have this as of lately, I've been having like this vision, and it's of me sitting on that bed, looking out the window, and you can just see the whole view. This is in San Juan. And I could just see everything, and I'm just looking at the stars. I'm just thinking like, where are you? You know? And I don't know why it keeps coming back, but I think what I feel like it is that's the first time God was.
Where are you, God?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's what I think it was.
You needed his help.
Right. Yeah. And I think that was the first time where I really looked back on my life and I was like, wow, like you were really there. You know what I mean?
Sort of like the footprints.
Right. Footprints in the sand type of story.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Now, and like now I look back at it and I'm just like so grateful. Because the thing is, like when you're walking with God, you go through a lot of stuff, right? And when you're in it, you can't see God most of the times, right? That's why a lot of people are like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Da, 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 da. And then you get through it, and then you're like, oh, wait, that makes sense. Like, okay, this is why this had to happen, or this is why this had to happen, or like, you know? Yeah. And I think that was one of those moments. So I didn't really realize how much God was with me up until I got older. Yeah. You know, when I was a kid, I was like, this is just normal, or like, I'm just... You know, things just happen for me, or I always end up just being okay. Yeah. But then you get older, right? And you realize there's people that are doing the same things you're doing. They don't get the same outcome, or they've had the same story you had. They don't have the same outcome, right? So that's why I really believe in God's grace, because it's like, it can't be by something that I did, right? If two people are doing the exact same things, one person gets this outcome or gets punished, whatever, and nothing happens to this person, that has nothing to do with the person themselves, right? There's got to be a higher power. So I would ask, okay, what does this person believe in? What does this person believe in? You know? Yeah. And so, yeah, man, like I would say that was probably the first time where I really like had faith, you know, or like where my faith really sparked. And then from then on, it was just kind of like, I just always knew God was real. Yeah. You know, and I just you can't unsee certain things, you know, like once you go through certain experiences, right? It's like, you can never go back.
Well, one thing I was curious about asking you is how would you kind of guide people into their own struggles? Mm-hmm. And you're kind of answering that right now as we chat. Yeah, is that you've got to let that go.
Right. You know. And when you say struggles, what do you mean? Like elaborate.
Well, their own struggles, whether it be with their siblings, their mom, their home life, their school, peers, and
like how to navigate it.
Yeah.
So I would say like. Everyone's different, okay? God works in different ways. I would say, like, if you really want God to help you, I think you just simply speak it. You say, Lord, help me. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be like, see, like, I think the problem with a lot of modern day Christianity is like, oh, well, you do this, so God can't love you. Or you look like this and God can't love you, right? But the Bible talks about God's love is unconditional. So God loved you well before you did any of the stuff you chose to do. And he knew you were going to do it. Yeah. And so I think that's what keeps people from like asking for help, right? So they decide like, oh, I'm going to just do it on my own. Or they've met someone who doesn't want to help them because they're lesser than. So they put that lens on God, right? Like,
but you can't really not.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
It's hard not to.
But what the Bible says is what the Bible says.
It is. The truth is the truth, regardless of how we feel.
Yeah.
And so I would say, like, to anybody out there that's like struggling or that feels like, you know, they can't have a relationship with God. Dude, God loves you and he wants to hear from you. And that doesn't change based off what you've done, you know? And I think that's the biggest lie from the enemy is like, you did this so God can't hear from you. So I would say, yeah, if you're out there struggling and you're dealing with something and you're trying to navigate it, I would say, like, just give God a chance. And you don't have to have the right thing to say. Like, the Bible talks about, you know, the Lord knows what you need before you even ask him. You know, so it's more of just having that intention and that heart posture to seek him. And I think in that, you'll be okay. No matter what happens, you'll be okay.
Yeah. What I love about you too, Isaiah, as well, is that I don't feel like you're the preachy kind, like you're going to go out there and try to change or convert anyone from, you're just there. And if someone comes to you and wants to chat and you go down that road, and it sets in alignment with your goals and your purpose.
100%.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, because I think you have to, like we talked about earlier, you have to know your people.
Yeah.
Right. The preachy type that doesn't always work. Some people can't receive that, you know, and you have to love people where they are.
You know, I might get myself in trouble for saying this, but it's almost like you want to stay away from the ones that are a little preachy.
No, you
have their own agenda, perhaps.
Here's the thing, like, even if you do get in trouble for saying, it's okay, man. Like, I'll be so honest, man. Like, I have a lot of problems with modern day Christianity. You know, the biggest thing I think I struggle with or that I fight is religion. So I'll get more hate and slander from people that are Christian or religious than I do from people in the world. Right. And so what that is like the preaching, you'll have those people that are like, you have to do this, you have to do this, and you have to look like this. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Right. Like, you get transformed as you seek the Lord more. So like, there was this, I was watching this video and this guy was talking about how he had an encounter with the kid. And the kid said, hey, pastor, can I come to church if I smoke weed? And the pastor was like, yeah, of course. Like, why not? And he's like, oh, well, I just thought, like, if I smoke weed, I'm not allowed to come to church. And he said, let me ask you something. Do you clean yourself before you go in the shower? And the kid was like, no. And he's like, exactly. As you get in the shower, you get cleansed, right? So it's the same thing. The more you spend time with Jesus, the more your life transforms and you change, right? So you have these religious people that'll tell you, you have to get right first. Then you go see Jesus. No, because you're completely denying the power of Jesus, right? He gets no glory then now. Very because now it's like, it's because of what I did. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, total sense.
And it's just a behavior modification, which isn't really sustainable. Like, what, you're going to change your behavior for 3 months and then it's right back to where you were, you know?
Accepting of everyone.
Right. So I believe like you have to love like that's what love is though. Love is not conditional. It's unconditional. So love means even if you stab me in the back, I still love you. I'm not loving you because you do well for me or because you serve me. I love you because of who you are and who I think you are, right? Or the way I see you. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's that kind of goes along with the whole preachy thing. Like, sometimes we get so caught up in like giving a good word, and sometimes people don't need a word, dude. They just need an ear. They need someone to listen to. They need someone to go to lunch with. They need someone to be there. Like, that's more important than just being like, well, the Bible says, you know, like, don't get me wrong, the Bible's true and whatnot, but you have to read the situation. Like, you have to almost make a segue for that, you know? And I think that's kind of where I think more people were drawn to me as far as like talking about those things. Because for me, I'm a friend first, you know what I mean? Now, if you ask and you want to know the truth, I have no problem sharing the truth.
You go down that
but
road.
I'm not going to walk around being like, well, the truth says you can't be, you know, it's like, dude, that's, you know, I just need someone to be here for me. So
are there any special places or where you put yourself physically to be with God? Or
I would say just anywhere that's quiet. Secret place. I used to do my room, but my room has a lot of distractions. Play a lot of video games, watch a lot of movies, so it's easy to be like, you know. So I would say get somewhere that's like nature. You know, like when I work out or when I run, that's a good one. So that's also why I like to work out alone. Because that's why I feel like I hear God the most. So like when I go on my runs, it's like, it's just me and you. And it's like, a lot of it's because I'm suffering, you know? And so in that's where I seek him. I'm like, Lord, I'm really suffering right now. This is hard. I'm in pain. Right. And then it's like, you feel the peace of God. And so I feel like that's why I connect with them, but everyone's different. It's like, I would say just get to a place where you can hear.
you know, it's interesting because I'll sometimes come in here.
Yeah, this is
And
great,
I'll
dude.
sit where you sit or whatever, and I'm like, oh, if Leo comes in, he's gonna be like, it's like he's gonna think I'm weird because I'm
Yeah.
sitting in here in
No,
the dark
this-
by myself. But this is my spot, you know,
Yeah.
for the moment.
Yeah.
Because it's part of my life, so
Right.
that's kind of where I choose to put myself.
Yeah.
So so everyone has their own space, whether it be the beach, running.
Right. There you go.
don't
The
have to
beach is a
sit
good
still.
one.
You know, mountains, whatever, river.
By the way, I just want to say you're doing a great job.
Oh,
You're doing a really good job, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Definitely.
That means a lot. Any influences in your life, personally or spiritually, that have lifted you up, take you places?
Yeah.
Grateful for
Dude, I just think like community in general.
community.
You know,
I like that.
I've had some people where I'm just like, wow, these people are like those, like when you say about like those are just those kinds of people. But for the most part, it's just having the right community.
Yeah.
And just having people that, you know, can see things in you that you can't see in yourself. And that comes from God. Like I really feel like the Lord has just blessed me and placed me around the right people. Like, dude, I wasn't always like this. Even now I still deal with like, you know, self-hatred, some of those things.
Oh,
like,
we
it's
all
just
have
human.
our own insecurities. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you need to be around the right people, right? Because the right people will be like, nah, bro, that's not true. Like,
Community's
you're a king.
huge.
You know what I mean? Or you're the child of a king, or you're great at this, or you're great at this. So I think just not being self-sufficient, you know, like don't get me wrong, as men, we want to be like macho and I can do it on my own, right? But it's like, dude, it's hard. You know, and like we were created for a relationship. That's what God created us for. He created us so we could be in relationship with him and with each other. Right. So like, yeah, man, I think it's just being in community. That's always been like my influence. I would say like if I had to pick one person though, that just like really, dude, I have a lot, man. Like it's just hard. Yeah. Like, yeah, I love Tupac. Big Tupac fan.
That's cool.
Huge Tupac fan.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm very big on just being real, dude. You know, like even if it's ugly.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like tying that into my faith is like one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times in faith, it's like we feel like we have to be, oh no, I don't do this, or like, no, I've never thought that. And it's like, bro, that's not real. Like God wants real. Yeah. You know, so I say Tupac, just a very straightforward dude, very stand-up guy.
So when you're running or working out, you're kind of with yourself. What's in your ears? What's in your ear pods? What are you listening to?
Oh, a lot of house music.
House music.
Big house music guy. Yeah, I love rhythm. Like I love all kinds of music.
Yeah.
But like music to me is like, it's like the way sounds make you. It's just different, man.
It's a
like,
rhythm.
It is.
Gets you in his own.
It is. And so yeah, big house music.
Music's powerful.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Not a fan of like rap music's cool. But I'm very like picky and choosy when I want to listen to it because you have to understand a lot of the things that they're speaking.
Yeah.
Right. And so like you'll notice like your energy starts to change. Like, why do I feel violent or why do I feel so aggressive? And it's like, well, listen to what you're like listening to. They're talking about killing, robbing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think it's just being careful of like what you're putting into your ears.
Yeah.
But yeah, big house music fan. Big house music fan.
So in the community aspect we were just talking about, I feel like you do a good job of bridging your professional life with your faith.
Yeah.
And they go together.
Right.
Whereas, I don't know, one might think they're separate. But,
Right.
No, you do a really good job of bridging those two together, I think.
Well, I think because faith is the foundation of everything. So faith doesn't just go into my fitness life, like, or my professional life. Like it goes into my relationships with like, you know, if I date someone or, you know, my parents, my family, like faith is the root of everything.
Yeah.
And I think just the more you pour into that, like it outpours into every other spot of your life, you know? So like for me, I know like without God and without faith, like I wouldn't have my job, you know, I wouldn't be surrounded by great people. Like all this stuff is a blessing from him, you know, it's not because of anything I've done. So that's why I've learned like, you keep God and your faith first, everything else is going to flourish, you know?
It's kind of up to us to accept it, recognize it, embrace it.
Right. And that's, and it doesn't have to be like a religious thing. I think that's if there was one thing I could give someone that wants to know about Jesus or like know about faith, it's like, dude, get away from religion, you know, because religion and relationship are very different. So like, think of it like this, right?
Yeah.
Religion would be like, dude, I just saw this on a video too. It was really good. He's talking about throwing a party. So let's say Jack's throwing a party.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you give me a bunch of flyers, and I give out the flyers to a whole bunch of people, and I'm like, yo, Jack's having a party tonight. Jack's having a party tonight. Come through.
Yeah.
Right? All those people that I'm giving those flyers to don't know you. They don't have a relationship with you, but I know you. right? So it's like when they show up, they're like, well, I know Jack's house. I know what Jack does. I know Jack's having a party, but I don't know Jack.
Yeah.
And then they show up and then it's like, hey, what's up, Jack? And you're like, who are you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So like, that's how it is with Jesus. Like you have people that like, they know the story of Jesus, they know about Jesus, but they don't know Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, so they know all the things he does and whatnot, what we're supposed to do. And that's the religion aspect, right? But the Bible talks about how people will literally be like, Lord, I did this in your name. I did this in your name. He's going to say, depart from me. I never knew you. Right? Because you never had that relationship.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing, man. Like build a relationship and you do it the same way you do it with your friends. I talk to God how I talk to my buddies. Like I'll literally be like, hey God, I'm stressed out about this. I don't know how I'm going to make it. Hey God, I don't have enough money for this. Can you help me out? Hey God, like I'm really just down today. And like, I just need like some kind of support.
And sometimes it's just getting it out there.
That's it.
And hearing it yourself.
That's
what
all it is.
Your struggle is.
It's really, it's that simple, man. And it's like, dude, sometimes we just make things so crazy and it's like, you have to pray like this. And it's like, dude, just speak. That's all you have to do. Because what happens is when you make things too difficult, people just don't want to try. It just seems like too much. It's
overwhelming.
Right? Yeah. And so, it's like, it's as simple as just speaking out loud, like help.
So for those who want to get to know you better,
right?
What are your socials? Where would you like to direct them to?
Instagram. Instagram. Follow me. King Isaiah Daniel Bull. My Instagram, that's all I have right now. I have a TikTok, but I'm still like figuring out how to use that.
Oh, I tried to go down that road.
It's too much, man.
Too much.
Even like Instagram is kind of a lot. Like I just get caught editing for so long and I'm like making all these videos and it's a trap and I'm like, dude, it's been 4 hours.
And you forgot something.
Right. Dude, have you ever, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever shared something and then it's like the littlest thing, but it bugs you and you're like, dude, I'm not about to delete this just to freaking post it again.
Yeah.
Yo,
but sometimes you leave it and it turns out to be the best one you've had in like ages, you know, because we're hard on ourselves. We're 100%. The ones who saw it. They didn't know.
Right. No, that's true.
So, wow. So that's pretty cool. Are you accepting clients right now?
I am.
Okay.
I am. Not a lot though.
Okay.
I think this has been, which is crazy, the busiest season I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Like,
good for you.
I would say I'm at a point in my life where I'm finally just like growing. Like it's supposed to feel like this, you know, like there's some days I'm like, dude, I'm so tired or like, I don't know how much of this I can do, but I'm like, no, this is what you asked for.
Yeah.
You know, you want to grow and it's like, you want to eat and it's like, it's supposed to.
This is what you asked for.
Yeah.
You know,
it should feel like tension. You should feel like, you know, because in that you're going to learn. Okay, now I know what has room, like what's a priority in this season, right? Yeah. What do I have room for? Because when you're really busy, right, you start to learn time management.
Yeah.
Right? And so now you know, like, okay, I have time for this. This is a priority. I don't have time for this. This is not a priority. Right? But if you have all the time in the world and you're not doing stuff, right, you just start letting everything in. And now it's like.
My biggest drawback is saying yes.
Right.
I will do it. All day
all the
long.
time.
You come to Jack and ask him for something.
Sure.
I gotta pull myself back. That's a weakness and a strength, I guess, of mine. But,
but that's it's not. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just more of like you have to be mindful and like ask yourself, you know, how does this serve Jack or is this helping Jack?
Yeah.
Right. And not saying that like everything has to serve you, but understand too that like you can't pour from an empty cup. Right. So it's like when you're always pouring out into people, right, it's like, who's filling me up, right? Or am I making time to fill my own cup? Yeah. You know, because ultimately that's where overflow comes from. If your cup's not filled, you can never go into a place of overflow, right? Yeah. And so I think that's like another big thing, man, is like, you know, when you go into like self-love, like I don't think it's selfish because it's like you're not good. Like you can't help the people in your life if you're not who you're supposed to be. Yeah. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So like
100%.
Right. Like if I'm not filling my cup, I'm a liability now. Now I'm dead weight that you have to carry. Right. But if I'm filling my cup first, well, now I can pour into you and I can contribute to whatever I have going on in my life. And I think that's like kind of the mindset we want to have is like the better I am, the better I can be for people. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're also you do a fair amount of collaborating with people.
I do.
And influencing and whatnot. And you just did something, and I'm drawing a blank right now. And I knew I was...
World's Hardest Mile? How long ago was it?
This was this week. You went into a facility.
5K? I went and did cryotherapy.
That's it.
Yeah, cryotherapy for the first time.
Yeah, how was that?
Dude, it was way colder than I thought.
It made me want to go.
Dude, you should do it. You should definitely do it. So I had a buddy we decided like, hey, let's go run and go and do some cryotherapy. And I've done ice baths growing up. You know, when I played football, we'd always do it. So I was like, I heard cryotherapy is not as bad. And so I had him go in first. He was like, yo, this is refreshing.
You had him go in first.
Yeah, well, he's like, yeah, I'll go. And I was like, cool, yeah, you go. Like, you do it. I'll get a gauge on how it feels off of watching you. So he goes in and he's like, yo, like, this is refreshing, feels so nice. And I'm like, cool. So I go in thinking, I'm like, dude, this can be a breeze. Right away, dude, I'm like shivering, like freezing. And so I just think it's based on the person. I definitely think body fat has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was way colder than I thought.
You do it again.
Not because I want to, but because it's good for me. Like, probably because it's like, I need to like push myself, challenge myself, and like let my body recover.
Yeah.
But not like, it definitely wasn't easy. Like, it wasn't like this is
you got to put your mind in a certain place.
For sure.
For
sure.
Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, man.
This is really cool. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, yeah. This is awesome.
We could go on and on.
Hell yeah.
I'm really, we talked about knowing people, and I'm really glad I had the opportunity to get to know you better.
Yeah, man. You too.
And I see a lot more to come down the road. So thank you for your time, your conversation, and your openness.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate
Thanks for having me. Like, it was a blessing to be here, man. I'm grateful for this. And man, you're doing a really good job.
I appreciate that.
Really good job.
Well, thanks for tuning in, folks, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Let's go.